Boaters always ask the same question: which engines never quit? Some of these European machines outlive the very boats they're bolted to, but here's the kicker: they don't all come from the famous brands you'd expect. And this will blow your mind. One of them is so reliable, whole coast guards bet their missions on it. These are the 12 European boat engines that last forever. When it comes to Italian outboards, the Selva Wahoo 20 is a quiet achiever. This compact 362cc two-cylinder four-stroke delivers a dependable 20 horsepower, making it ideal for smaller boats in the 20 to 25 foot range, or as a reliable auxiliary on larger cruisers. It's lightweight, just over 50 kilograms, so it won't drag down your transom, and it comes with the option of manual or electric start. Built in Italy, it's part of Selva's long tradition of engines that put practicality first, while still carrying that unmistakable European flair. Owners often compare the Wahoo 20 to a trusty Vespa scooter. Not the fastest machine in the world, but always ready to get you where you need to go. Mechanics love it because it's straightforward. No overcomplicated electronics, no exotic parts, just a solid little engine that starts when you turn the key. Boaters on Mediterranean forums often joke that the Wahoo is like an espresso shot on the water, small but strong. And for everyday cruising or fishing runs, that's exactly what you want. The best part? These engines have a reputation for outlasting their rivals. Some owners report running Wahoos for thousands of hours with little more than regular oil changes and fresh plugs. It's not flashy, but if you want reliability in a small package, the Wahoo 20 is proof that sometimes less really is more. And that's just the start. We've got diesels, sterndrives, and even electrics coming up that will surprise you. Keep watching, drop a comment with your go-to engine, and don't forget to subscribe. Volvo Penta practically invented the modern sterndrive, so it's no surprise their V6 Aquamot series is a staple in Europe, producing between 240 and 280 horsepower. These gasoline V6s are purpose-built for leisure powerboats in the 20 to 35 foot bracket. Unlike auto-carbureted setups, the modern Aquamot features fuel injection, variable valve timing, and Volvo's legendary duo prop drive. That twin, counter-rotating propeller system bites the water with a grip that makes rival sterndrives feel sloppy. Boaters love the balance these V6s strike. They've got enough power to tow wakeboarders or push a cabin cruiser to 40 knots, yet they're lighter and thriftier than a big block V8. Many owners remark that they feel more European car than American truck. Smooth, refined, and almost quiet at cruising speeds. A friend of mine once described his V6 Aquamot as the BMW of sterndrives, which is about right. Of course, being Volvo, you'll pay a premium, but the trade-off is longevity. There are countless reports of V6 sterndrives clocking over 2,000 hours with just routine servicing. For a gasoline motor, that's impressive. It's why you'll still see them featured proudly in sales brochures and in YouTube thumbnails. When people first heard about a 300 horsepower diesel outboard, most thought it was a gimmick. Then the Swedes at OXC dropped the OX CXO300, and suddenly every workboat operator and hardcore boater sat up straight. This isn't just another outboard. It's a 3.0-litre BMW-sourced bi-turbo inline-6 diesel, marinized to pump out 300 horsepower and an eye-watering 680 Nm of torque at just 2,500 RPM. Put simply, that's enough low-end grunt to yank a 30-foot powerboat onto plane like it's on rails. OXC didn't stop at brute force. The OX CXO300 is designed to run on regular EN590 diesel, NATO F76, and even biodiesel blends, which means whether you're in a marina or a military base, fuel is never a problem. The engine's belt drive system reduces strain on the gearbox, and it's rated for 3,500 plus hours before needing a major overhaul, more than double the lifespan of a comparable petrol outboard. It's no wonder operators who rack up long miles at sea are making the switch. Of course, this isn't your bargain bin weekend toy. The COX CXO300 is heavier and pricier than a gas motor, but owners swear by the efficiency. Some even brag about cutting their fuel stops in half on offshore runs. It's not just an outboard, it's diesel muscle designed to go the distance. Britain's answer to the diesel outboard boom is the COX CXO300. Unlike the OXE's inline 6, the CXO300 packs a 4.4-litre twin-turbo V8 diesel under its cowling, pumping out the same 300 horsepower, but with an emphasis on sheer toughness. Designed originally with military and Coast Guard contracts in mind, this is an outboard built for people who punish their engines daily. One standout feature is its torque curve, up to 650 Nm delivered smoothly at 2,500 RPM. That gives it tractor-like pulling power, which is why so many patrol boats and commercial operators run them in twin or triple setups. In testing, Cox claims their engines consume 25% less fuel than a petrol V8 outboard at cruise, which for long-range operations makes a serious difference. Of course, being British, it comes with a sense of pride. Early adopters on UK forums love pointing out they're running a homegrown alternative to the Swedes. One even joked it's like a Land Rover engine that doesn't leak oil, which might be the highest compliment a Brit can pay. Expensive, yes, but if your livelihood depends on your outboard, the CXO300 earns its keep. When it comes to compact diesels, the Volvo Penta D3 is a true workhorse. Based on a 5-cylinder automotive block, it produces between 140 and 220 horsepower, making it perfect for 20 to 35-foot powerboats that need efficiency without sacrificing punch. Volvo marinized the design with a robust cooling system and corrosion-resistant internals, turning a proven car engine into a reliable marine performer. Owners praise the D3 for being smooth and refined compared to clattery old-school diesels. It accelerates quickly, doesn't smoke much, and is surprisingly frugal. Boaters who've swapped from petrol sterndrives often brag about halving their fuel bills. One skipper of a 20-foot cruiser reported doing entire weekends on a single tank, something his old V8 couldn't dream of. If there's a criticism, it's that Volvo parts can be expensive, but the D3's reputation for longevity balances the ledger. Many engines rack up thousands of hours before needing major work. For mid-sized cruisers and sports boats across Europe, the D3 has become the default diesel sterndrive, a quiet achiever that just keeps going. MTU might be famous for massive yacht and military engines, but even they dipped into the small boat world with the 6R183 series. Built in Germany, these 6-cylinder diesels put out between 300 and 500 horsepower, making them ideal for heavier 35 to 50-foot powerboats that need serious grunt but don't want to haul around a 10-ton block. The 183 was known for its compact size and bulletproof build. Engineers designed it with the same philosophy as their big yacht engines: overbuild everything, then let it loaf along at half its potential. That's why many of these units are still running decades later. I've heard stories of 6R183s logging over 10,000 hours in pilot boats without ever having their heads off. For a small engine, that's legendary longevity. Of course, MTU parts aren't cheap. Owners joke that ordering a gasket feels like buying a round of drinks in Monaco, but when your engine just keeps chugging, you don't mind the occasional splurge. The 6R183 proves that MTU reliability isn't just for mega yachts. It trickled down to smaller boats too. We're only halfway, and the engines ahead are even more impressive. From compact diesels to cutting-edge electrics, the best is still to come. Stick around, share your favorites so far, and hit subscribe. Italy doesn't just make outboards and sports cars. It also makes some surprisingly tough diesels. The VM Motori MR 504 is a compact 4-cylinder, displacing 2.5 liters and producing up to 150 horsepower. It was designed specifically for smaller boats where engine bay space is tight, like 20 to 25-foot cruisers and compact workboats. What makes the MR 504 special is its balance of efficiency and durability. Derived from VM's automotive engines, it was marinized with stronger cooling systems and corrosion-resistant parts. Owners often say it's the kind of engine you forget is there. Fire it up, cruise all day, and it never fusses. One owner of a small Italian fishing boat reportedly put 5,000 hours on his without needing more than oil and filter changes. It's not glamorous, but it doesn't need to be. The MR 504 is like the dependable Fiat Panda of marine diesels. Not fast, not flashy, but always gets you home. And when you're caught in a surprise squall on the Adriatic, that's worth more than horsepower bragging rights. Step up in size and you'll find the VM Motori MR 704LH, a 2.8-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel that makes up to 230 horsepower. It's the bigger brother to the MR 504, designed for boats in the 25 to 35-foot range that need more muscle without the bulk of a 6-cylinder. With turbocharging and common rail injection, the MR 704LH delivers strong torque while keeping fuel consumption sensible. Boaters appreciate that it doesn't punish you at the pump. Diesel bills are steep enough as it is. Anecdotally, charter skippers in the Mediterranean love these engines because they're light, reliable, and don't scare away guests with smoke and noise. One skipper even joked that his VM runs quieter than my espresso machine, which in Italy is saying something. They're also relatively easy to service. VM designed them with modular cylinder heads, meaning you can replace one head at a time instead of pulling the whole engine apart. That clever feature saves time, money, and plenty of swearing in tight engine rooms. For mid-sized powerboats, the MR 704LH is proof that practical engineering can be just as appealing as raw horsepower. France's Nanni diesel may not have the fame of Volvo or MTU, but their secret weapon is borrowing blocks from Toyota. The N4 series, like the N4 200, 200 horsepower, and N4 270, 270 horsepower, are based on Toyota's 3-litre and 4-litre inline-4 diesels, marinized with upgraded cooling and anti-corrosion parts. In other words, you're getting Toyota Hilux toughness wrapped in a blue Nanni badge. This automotive heritage is exactly why they've built such a loyal following. Mechanics love them because parts are plentiful, and owners love them because they just keep going. I've heard more than one skipper say, if it's good enough to survive the Australian outback, I'll survive the Bay of Biscay. That's not marketing fluff, that's Toyota reliability transferred onto the water. They may like the flash of a big V8, but that's their charm. Nanni's Toyota-based engines are all about predictable performance. They sip fuel politely, rarely complain, and quietly rack up thousands of hours. For boaters who want to cruise without ever lifting the engine hatch, Nanni delivers peace of mind in spades. 9 down, and the final 3 will surprise you even more. From silent electrics to rugged European engineering, the real shockers are next. Keep watching, tell us your pick, and don't forget to subscribe. When the conversation shifts to electric boating, Torqeedo is the name that pops up. Their deep blue 50R outboard is the flagship for small powerboats, pushing the equivalent of 80 horsepower with a massive 50-kilowatt battery system. It's German-built, waterproof to the hilt, and designed for serious boaters, not just eco-curious day trippers. The biggest selling point? Silence. Instead of the growl of a petrol outboard, you get a gentle hum and the sound of water rushing past the hull. Owners joke that the loudest thing on board is their cooler lid snapping shut. And with instant torque, the Deep Blue can rocket a 25-foot rib onto plane faster than you'd expect. Of course, range is the big question with any electric. Torqeedo tackles this with BMW-sourced lithium batteries, offering 30 to 50 nautical miles of practical cruising at moderate speeds. That's not going to cross oceans, but for lake boating, canals, or short coastal hops, it's perfect. And the smug satisfaction of telling fuel-docked neighbors you charge at home is priceless. While outboards get the spotlight, Torqeedo also makes slick inboard pod drive systems. Their Cruise FP pod motors range from 6 kilowatts to 25 kilowatts, translating to roughly 9 to 40 horsepower equivalents, ideal for displacement hulls or smaller coastal cruisers in the 20 to 30 foot class. Pods are bolted directly under the hull, freeing up engine room space and simplifying design. Owners love the quiet efficiency, but also the maneuverability. Pair 2 pods and you've got joystick docking on a modest family boat. That's tech once reserved for luxury yachts, trickling down to everyday boaters. Opinions from early adopters are glowing. One Dutch canal boater said switching to a Torqeedo pod was like swapping a tractor for a Tesla. No smoke, no vibration, just smooth cruising through the waterways. The downside, you do have to plan your range, but for people who cruise predictable routes, the trade-off is worth it. If outboards are the flashy showpiece, Torqeedo pods are the understated, clever alternative. Not every boater needs a monster electric system with Tesla-sized batteries. Enter the Aquamot Trend 20.0 Evo, an Austrian-built outboard that delivers a practical 20 kilowatts of power, around 27 horsepower in petrol terms, perfect for boats up to 35 feet. It's designed for reliability and simplicity, which is why so many European rental fleets and eco-tour operators swear by them. The Evo line is all about plug-and-play boating. You can mount it with either tiller or remote steering, connect the battery pack, and head off without fuss. Owners say the real magic is how little you have to think about it. No oil changes, no winterizing, no gas fumes in the cockpit. Just charge, cruise, and enjoy the water. One German canal cruiser summed it up perfectly. I spend more time worrying about my fridge than my motor. Of course, it won't win drag races. Top speeds hover around 10 to 12 knots depending on the hull, but that's plenty for leisurely cruising or fishing trips. What it offers instead is predictability, steady thrust, quiet operation, and battery systems that actually last the advertised cycles. In a market full of overhyped electrics, the Aquamot trend proves that practical engineering still has a place on the water. So there you have it, 12 European boat engines that earned their place in history, not through flashy horsepower figures, but through sheer reliability. From Italian outboards that sip fuel like espresso, to German diesels that grind through decades of service, to electrics pointing us toward the future, these machines prove one thing: real legends don't quit. But here's the kicker. This will blow your mind. The best engine is always the one that gets you home. Which of these would you trust? Drop your pick in the comments, hit subscribe, and join us for the next deep dive.